How come I can't hear the video?
Damn.
More people happen more.
You start off, if you need to pick on any audience members.
What that?
If you need to pick on any audience members.
Yeah.
Back row one, yeah.
That's why they sat back there.
Yeah, that's just the back, yeah. So it's Tyler and Ben.
Thank you.
Maybe one of the ones to be shown how to do this, so
That's great, they'll be our model. Hello, two, should we get started? Do you want me to introduce, you guys wanna get
Oh,
started?
we got it.
Okay.
No worries.
You know what, I'm gonna bring it in.
Tyler and Ben can introduce us. So, anyways, thank you guys for having us first off. Thanks for inviting us in. My name is TJ Knowles.
I'm Marlene Westrom.
And we'll just tell you by starting just a little bit about us. We're both in choice therapy, at Bemidji outpatient.
I work primarily with like shoulders, elbows and hands, so kind of the upper extremity down. Once in a while, I do see some kiddos as well, but that's kind of primary my niche. I've been working a little over 8 years here.
And just the opposite, Marley works all up top. I try to stick kind of down low, backs, necks, hips, knees, ankles primarily. I'm a foot specialist, so I deal a lot with that as well. I think I'm on 7 years, something like that, so 15 years combined experience, so you guys have us here for you.
So we're here to talk about ergonomics, essentially kind of desk setup, positioning, things like that. So there's kind of 4 features that go into ergonomics overall. The physical body, so how you're positioned, during the daytime. Also here, we're looking at the environment, so how that supports your positioning. Okay, so that's gonna be kind of the desk chairs and things like that. Your mental health, how you're taking care of your body in that positioning or out of that positioning. And then the aftercare, what you're doing after all of your work hours, to again, kind of get your body reset for the next day of work. So those are kind of the 4 main areas that we'll kind of target throughout this presentation. We'll get a little bit more in depth on that here as we go along.
So the solutions, and I know the #1 solution, and anybody hears posture, even the word posture, everybody kind of like sits up just a little bit more, just trying to get to that spot. It's not, sitting posture 24/7, but just quick rundown is the body, we're working on time and movement. That's the 2 things we're gonna touch on. For environment, it's adaptability. What can you do from outside environment to help your body as much as possible? Mental health is, what are some strategies to help with that as well? Like I said, we'll dive into that a little deeper. And what do you do afterward? And what do you do when you're done with work, right? So your body doesn't stop moving right after work. The mind doesn't shut off right after work. So just what do you do during those times? So we're gonna start with kind of the biggest one when you think about ergonomics, posture, things like that, just the physical body. And like I said, #1 thing you're gonna hear from everybody is like, well, have a better posture, But I wanna make you guys think about something. So think about the office worker who sits all day long and they're just sitting in a chair all day, not moving. That's great. Somebody says, well, stand up, right? Be in a different position. Think about the waitress who's constantly standing all day and he or she, they're not allowed to sit down. Both are not good for you, right? It's not like standing's good and sitting's bad. Really what they're trying to get to more and more and educating people on more is just time. Is don't sit for long periods of time. And even 5 years ago, the standard was like, every 2 hours, move. And now like a couple years later, every 1 hour, move. And a couple hours later, every 30 minutes. They're down to 20 minutes now. Move your body every 20 minutes from a static position. I said static because it's not just sitting, also standing. So if you're kind of in a seated position, standing position where your body's not moving, try to move it every 20 minutes. That's the newest guideline. Second, posture in general. Now, just because I just kind of ragged on posture, doesn't mean it's bad. It's good, okay? Our bodies are just like buildings. We don't want to have them where we're all over the place or in certain positions, because now we're placing more strain on certain parts of our body, where if we're stacked up on top of each other, ankle, over knee, over hip, over body, over shoulder, over head, there's a lot more to support your body going throughout the entire chain. Same for sitting, it's just cut out the feet and the knees, okay? Lifting mechanics. I don't know how much lifting you guys do here, but I did want to touch on it a little bit because, like I said, the world doesn't stop when we're at work versus at home. And I don't know about you guys, but I have 3 kids and cleaning all the time. I'm always lifting something, whether it's a little toy Lego I just stepped on or a big box because my wife works Amazon or something like that. I don't know. But we're gonna talk about that in 2 seconds. And the last one I'm gonna talk about later on in the presentation. It's agonist versus antagonist. So if we're using certain muscles throughout the day, say you're a typer, okay? You're always gonna be using your extensor muscles to lift up your wrist to type. Well, how do we utilize the other side, the flexors? But we'll get into that in a second. So lifting mechanics. I always say like lift with your legs, right? But like what does that mean? So when I'm educating people, when I'm talking to people in the clinic, literally people who have had injuries coming in because of these things, I don't just say just lift with your legs, because that's a tough one, okay, to know like what's happening. So because everybody likes to talk about like the knees, okay, so you can lift 3 ways with your body: your knees, your hips, and your low back, right? What's the best way? A combination, an even combination of all 3 are going to support your body the best, okay? So you see the first picture, this is kind of traditional good, bad, right? So he has the good knee bend, but he also has a good hip hinge, okay? So the angle at the knees almost matches the angle at the hips. Now, if you didn't use your back to any degree, you couldn't lean forward, right? That'd be very hard to pick up a box. Oh, I'm not gonna go any further. I'm not gonna pull out myself, so I'm gonna stop there. But needless, we want to utilize all 3. So just making sure it's not just lift with your knees, right? Utilize your hip hinge, sit back in your hips, weigh the box, see how it goes, right? If you get a random Amazon package on your door frame, you're not just going and picking it up thinking it's easy, because it might be a lot. And that's where people tend to get injured the most, is when they're not thinking about it and they're just like, oh, I gotta go, quick. I'm twisted, I'm rotated, I don't have a lot of knee bend, I thought it was a 10-pound box and now it's a 40-pound box. So just taking your time and utilizing the best posture is gonna be the best route for everybody. So just slowing down.
Oh, well, your whiteboard is blocked.
She just did last night, so.
That goes. All right, so switching gears here a little bit into the environment. So this is gonna be kind of what supports your posture all day, okay? So are we sitting? Are we standing? What is our environment looking like? Are we in an office chair? What is our computer comfort height at? Yeah, switchy spots here. So this is kind of what are we working at position-wise all day that helps support our posture and positioning. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about the environment here. So an ideal world, this is perfect posture. Are you gonna be able to withstand that for 8 hours a day? Probably not. But this is just gonna give you at least an idea of kind of what we're looking at for posture wise. I'm assuming most of you are kind of at a desk most of the day. That's pretty typical.
Yep, we have desk people, and then we do also have people joining us that drive a whole lot too.
Perfect, we'll get to that. Okay, awesome. So this is kind of a typical desk setup. I usually tell people don't worry so much about the measurements, because if you're short like me, it's gonna be a little bit different as far as on the lower end of that. If you're taller, you're probably gonna have a little bit more on the higher end of that. So don't worry so much about the measurements, but about how you fit within those. So, if we're looking, we're kind of talking about how, stacked we are here on the top. Okay, so we're kind of a little bit in line. So is your office chair supporting you? Is it upright with a little bit of thoracic help there, or are you in an office chair where you're just leaning forward and you don't use the back of that office chair at all? Okay, so some people I feel like are more of those forward position wise where they don't even sit on the back of their chair at all. So that's where we really need an office chair that supports us, that we're comfortable sitting back and relaxed in. Do we have elbow supports? Okay, there are some office chairs that have nice supported elbows, but some of them are like really down here, so you're not even using them, or some of them are hiked up here, so your arms are like this. Getting that at a position where you feel comfortable with your elbows supported will take a lot of strain off of your shoulders. Because if you're sitting typing like this with no elbow support, you're gonna feel your upper traps. And I promise you, most people probably already carry enough tension in their upper traps, they don't need more. So having that elbow support, having that wrist support, is your office desk surface within reach, or are you having to reach forward to reach to it? That chair closer so you have that support, okay? When we're looking at the hips and the knees, around that 90 degrees is ideal. If you do not have the up and down office chair, putting something underneath your feet, especially us short people, talking about myself here, having like a wedge or a step underneath my feet so my feet are flat. I hate it when my feet are dangling over the edge of a chair, super annoying. So trying to get those feet flat and supported will help that posture as well. It takes a lot of pressure off the knees and hips by not having your feet dangling. Same with you tall people, okay, having your legs out here, you're putting a lot of strain on those legs and hips by being more extended. Get so that office chair is higher so you can be at that light flexion there. Okay, so again, don't worry so much about the measurements, but we're looking at that posture. And then computer height is a big one. Do you guys all have like desktop computers, or some of you laptop? Mostly desktop? All of the above. Okay, so we'll go a little bit more on laptop here on the next one. But desktop, okay, the ideal desktop is for you to be at eye level, okay? So somewhere with that desktop, either at eye level at the top or slightly above, okay? Because we tend to do this. And if that computer screen is lower, we tend to do this even more throughout the day. And then we get that neck tension and then we're off the back of our chair. So if that computer screen's just a little bit higher at eye level or even just slightly above, you're more prone to have that neck upright, which again will take some strain off that rounding posture that we see those nice old ladies have over the time. Some men too have that posture, but so really having that nice neck support and that position with that computer will help take some of that strain off, so you're a little bit more upright. Okay, any questions on that? I feel like this is out of order here, but did you pull up the right one, buddy? Nope. Okay, we may have to adjust slideshows here real quick. Cause there's a home setting here too, but I think we got. We do this presentation a couple of times, so we've adapted it a little bit. Do what we say, not what we do.
I just connect here. Oh, you guys give me a low turn, no? Okay.
I think.
That's great. We're gonna go to- unless you guys can see me yours.
Public one,
This one?
yep,
Okay,
and then it's just Pinnacle.
perfect. Gosh, I gotta get this stuff, Pinnacle. Okay, I got it right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
We'll keep chugging away a little bit here as he pulls it up. How many of you guys do work at home?
A lot of mix, yeah.
A lot of mix, okay, awesome. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the home setup. So some people, They have a designated room, office, no kids go in there, perfect. They've got their own office chair set at their perfect setting, they've got a nice desk. Some of us do not, some of us sit on the couch or on our bed so we'll talk a little bit about that position. So if you've got the nice home office desk set up, kind of the same stuff we just talked about, making sure that office chair is set to the correct height, so your feet are nice and flat on the floor, your elbows are supported.
All lowercase.
It's all lowercase.
Yeah.
All those things.
Are we struggling still?
Yeah, no, it's not any more fancy. Everybody make something.
Ah,
They make fun.
They made on your house.
They were negative about concert.
Yes.
Yeah. I said my environment was. Big though. Yeah, maybe on Friday.
It's pretty much all shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think we're talking about the house.
Alright, that's good.
So if most of you kind of have the nice desk set up, like I said, the same features are gonna apply, okay? The office chair, having your elbows supported, having those wrists supported. However, not all of us have a beautiful desk setup, so you can see kind of a couple options that she put together here. So if you're on a laptop, okay, try not sitting on your bed on a laptop, okay, because you're at a environmental position where you're unstable. Whether you're sitting on your bed or whether you have it on your lap, typically what happens is the laptop is moving because it's not on a stable position. Your head is constantly down because that laptop is again a lot lower than where you're at. So trying to figure out how can I get that position upright. So as you see, she's got the additional keyboard here with a flat surface, and she's got an angled keyboard holder. I think we looked on Amazon, we say like $90 for all of that combined. So when you kind of look at the long run, yeah, $90 doesn't sound ideal, but you could come see us for therapy and have a lot bigger copay, so. I mean, not that we would love to see you, but when you look at, I mean, environment can really play a big part on that. So sometimes just having that little adaptability, especially for the home, can make a huge difference. So the angle of the computer, again, at eye level, or a little bit higher. Having that keyboard so that your wrists are supported. Those are some just basic things at home that you could do to keep yourself from sitting on your bed, doing it, sitting on the couch without any support. Again, you just have that unstable environment. So really having that stable environment will save your body a lot in the long run. Any questions on that? Still good? Still hanging out good? Okay, so I talked a little bit about tips and tricks. A book under the computer. I don't know if anyone's tried that before, but just lifting that so that computer surface is a little bit higher. Having a step under the feet, I talked about that a little bit, especially for us shorter people that need that extra boost to keep those knees up. The towel behind the back, so that can help too if you just have kind of that straight office chair, kind of just help give you a little bit of positioning so that those shoulders go back and that pelvis also shifts back. So it gives you just that little extra support kind of on that lower back. And then that stable work position, I've kind of touched on that, but that's really important. The unstable work position really puts your body in a lot more straining positions. So having that stable work environment will really help reduce some of that strain, especially on the upper body. All right, here's for you car people.
I don't know if that's the people in this room.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about it anyways, because even though I don't work in my car, I drive 45 minutes a day. 45 minutes one way to Walker, 45 minutes back every single day. This is some of the quick and painless, good, bad, okay? But some of the things we wanna look at before we go to the next slide is look where their hips are at, okay? All the way back in the seat. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was told to start driving, they say, get yourself as far as you can away from the steering wheel. Okay, well, what happens if you get yourself too far back? Then you're shifting a hip forwards to try to reach for the pedal. Okay, you're gonna cause a pelvic shift. Now, another one, especially for men, is big, is please making sure you don't have your wallet in your back pocket. That's another one that's getting more and more popular. I think people are starting to find out about that one. What's gonna happen? It's gonna change the level of your pelvis, which is gonna throw off that entire kinetic chain. Okay? Other tips and tricks is just making sure that your elbows, you see how his elbows are a little bit more straight but not completely locked out, right? It's allowing him to have his back against the seat. Marley already touched on that one a little bit, but you think about the differences between how much white space is behind his upper back, it's causing a big thoracic curve, and how much is behind his low back, which is gonna cause a lot of almost like sciatic style issues, okay? So just making sure to utilize the chair, it's there, use it. Other tips and tricks, just in the car in general, I don't know about arthritic in the hands, but if people tend to struggle with that, you can get a foam steering wheel. Otherwise, if you really want to go fancy, you can actually get a heated steering wheel to kind of help calm down arthritic changes if you're driving a long period of time. Winter gloves behind the back. I don't know if you guys have ever utilize that strategy, but if you have them just sitting next to you and you feel like your low back's starting to hurt a little bit, put those winter gloves back there. They'll act just like the towel that Marley was talking about. Okay, just a little bit of lumbar support. Next one is, like I said, making sure you're not too far away from the gas pedal, but if you're on a long car ride, you can't stop. You're like, oh my gosh, my back is killing me, okay? Shifting your seat a little bit, okay? Move your hips around, get a little bit anxious with yourself, okay? Because what did I say on the very beginning? Static posture is what the worst thing for you is. Even if you're sitting in the car, you have perfect posture, but you're sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, you're trying to make it to a certain spot. Okay, that's still a lack of movement. Your body's gonna start to fight back and tighten against you. So little hip shifts, okay, left, right, move around with your hips. Your significant other might be like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm just posture, choice therapy told me it's fine, okay, I'm good, okay? And the last one is just making sure to use cruise control when you can. You can utilize that 90-90 posture that Marley was talking about. If you think about always using the pedals, things like that, your one hip is kicked out, you might have a hip shift there already. Otherwise, you're putting a lot of strain, like Marley said, on the backside sciatic nerve if you're having that leg kicked out consistent with all the weight on the backside of the seat. Okay, so just some nice and easy tips and tricks for the car. Yeah, if anybody has anything else, definitely feel free to share if you've used it before, because I think that's something that everybody struggles with to some degree is you're driving to the cities and you get out and you do that big stretch, right? You shouldn't have to. You should feel pretty good after you get out of the car, just from a little bit of movement and whatnot, or just taking breaks in between the long car rides. So get some snacks or something, I don't know. So last parts here, we're kind of closing down, but I want to talk quick about mental health. And this is a big one that's came on in the last couple of years, especially since COVID, is we're realizing there's a lot more, this the kind of cool thing about it is that it's coming to light, there's a lot more studies that are coming out with it, right? And the big thing is that they're starting to realize it's just how powerful breath work is. And it's just such a big one. And Marley probably sees this with me sometimes when I go back to the office is I get back to the office and I go, big sigh, right? I'm not utilizing my diaphragm throughout the day. I'm not using that breath to digest cycle. I'm starting to get into the sympathetic fight or flight system. I mean, I'm seeing a patient, I'm not getting chased by a lion, right? Maybe somebody just talked to me the wrong way or said something I didn't like, right? I shouldn't get into that sympathetic fight or flight system because it's not immediate danger. A great way to get yourself out of that if you're feeling really stressed, I don't know if you guys have it, individual office visits or whatnot, just taking, kind of lowering down the lights and taking some good 360 diaphragmatic breaths where you're just taking and trying to say no chest movement. I'm gonna take a big breath in through my nose, up my nose. It's only through my midsection. Not just my front stomach, my side stomach, my back stomach. Everything's expanding. I'm gonna show you a picture here in a second. But, so what I was talking about, you see on the first picture where the arrows go both directions. There's a big reason for that. You maybe since everything's kind of like heard the term belly breathing. A lot of people think when they say belly breathing, it just comes through the front. That's actually not true. So diaphragm is a circular muscle and it actually expands through the sides of your ribs, the back of your ribs, and the front of your ribs. So if you're thinking about a good breath, you're thinking about full expansion throughout your entire diaphragm to kind of get yourself out of that fight or flight stage. Okay, but never should we have excessive shoulder movements if we're just kind of get out of that system, because that's just going to increase that neck workload. So one of the other best and my favorite things to do, take a walk. especially if it's to the coffee maker, right, Brian?
Yes.
Yeah, just take a walk, just get out of your spot, that takes care of the 20 minutes that you need to move your body anyways. It resets your brain, it resets your breath cycle, it resets everything. Now I made fun of the coffee maker, you don't always have to go to the coffee maker, we have some on water here, so, but, that's something though that is, like I said, the studies are more and more just piling on the importance of this. And nowadays at work, where it seems like we're more stressed than ever, just making sure to take a little time for yourself throughout the day, so then you don't build up that brain throughout the day, which is gonna reflect on the body.
So we'll talk a little bit about the aftercare, okay? So you've spent your 8, 10, 12 hours working and you're going home. Okay, so what are you doing at home to kind of recharge yourself for the next day of work? So nutrition is kind of a big one. Okay, I'm not gonna grill you on what you should be eating or drinking or whatnot here, but it really relates to overall health in general and improved blood flow, muscle flow. So making sure that you're getting, healthy foods at least somewhat throughout the day, okay? A lot of times boosts the energy, boosts your metabolism, less likely to get sick with all the crap going around. So keeping yourself healthy and putting that nutrition into your body. And then water. So we tease a lot about coffee. TJ and I drink our coffee a lot. But putting water into your daily routine. So for me, I try to stop drinking coffee by noon. It should be earlier, but in my head, if I get done before noon, it's a great day. But putting that water into your day. So how much water are you drinking? Are you getting a couple glasses throughout the day, or are you sipping on coffee all day long? Are you going home and consuming water, or are you going home and having a pop because you need an extra caffeine to take care of the kids before bed? So trying to get that water intake, whether it's flavored water, bubbled water, get some of that water intake throughout the day. It lubricates the joints, okay? It helps that muscle tissue strengthen, and then it gets you ready for the next day, again, of all of your positioning and posture and workload. So really fueling that body so that you can get through that work week.
All right, so this is the antagonist, agonist, and this is what I want to talk about. Let's just pick the example of office chair. So if you're sitting, you're in a position of forward nature, okay? So at the end of the day, one of the last things, if you're sitting throughout the day, that you want to do is sit on the couch. You want to try to stand as much as possible, or try to even lay on your stomach, which is an extended position. So essentially, to make it really easy, it's the opposite motion, okay? So if you're sitting throughout the day, try to stand or get an extended position as much as possible, or upright. If you're standing most of the day, try to get into a sitting position, right? So think about that waitress style position. She's in an extended position all day. Perfect. Sit, flex, lean forward, all the above, because you just spent all day extending. So thinking about, if I did a certain motion all day, maybe typing, I wouldn't want to go home and like write a novel or something, right? Because it's the same muscles that are working over and over, and that's going to lead to workplace injuries and overwork. Now, we gave about 10 copies of some good ideas to utilize, okay? We were guessing on what you guys kind of do, so we're just assuming on certain ones, but we'll touch on those in just a little bit here, okay?
All right. Yep. So just kind of to review, more while you're at work, if you can. Obviously, we're in that position a lot. We've got to get our work done. But if you can get up and move, take a quick 5-minute walk to the printer, come back, go get your coffee, come back, just movement throughout the day. Don't be afraid to move. I usually tell patients, I see a lot of hand patients, a lot of it because of typing or that fun phone swipe, a lot of thumb patients with phone swipe. Try every 20 minutes, okay, because that's what the research is, to do the exact opposite that we talked about. If you're typing all day and you're just going into this flexion, do 20 seconds or so of extension. And we'll talk again about a couple stretches, but try to do every 20 minutes or so, a little bit of the opposite of what you've been doing. Some of you might have those nice standing desks. Okay, you're 20 minutes sitting. All right, I'm gonna do 20 minutes up. I'm gonna get a little bit of an arm stretch, okay? All right, 20 seconds, 30 seconds here. Okay, now we're back at it. Now we're in a standing position. We've switched some things up a little. Okay, so making sure that we're just moving. Fit your station to your height. Everyone's gonna be a little bit different. Okay, so make sure it fits for you, that your elbows are at the right position, your keyboard's at the right position, your computer's at the right height. and that your feet are nice and flat and comfortable on the floor, okay? So make sure that it fits your needs and that somebody doesn't come along, sit in your chair, move it down or up, and then you gotta refigure it out. Make it fit to you, okay? Mental health, a big one, okay? Make sure you're taking care of yourself. The better you take care of yourself, the better your work output is. Okay, so breath work, walks, whatever it is that motivates you to keep on going, do it, okay? Really take care of yourself. And then the exercises to offset what you've been doing all day, okay? And we'll go through some stretches and stuff like that. But I can attest, my husband's a pharmacist, he stands all day long. It annoys the crap out of me when he comes home and sits on the couch. But that is literally what he needs to do to get off his feet, so I tell him to sit on the floor. We got 3 young kids, so we're constantly on the ground, but, and for me, I am kind of up and down all day, so I kind of do a little bit of both. I'm on the floor with the kids, I'm on the couch, but, so really just doing that opposite positioning as best you can when you get home. Any questions?
Any questions the entire presentation worked? No, so Marley, it has been about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The recommendations were
Oh
20.
gosh, we messed it up.
So everybody's gotta stand up.
Yep.
Yep, stand up. Thank you.
Alright, so we're gonna go over some basic stretches. There should be some of these handouts on the tables or periodically throughout the hall here. So just a couple basic stretches just to kind of get you guys moving throughout the day. So the first one is just cervical neck extension, nothing crazy, but oftentimes we just get into this curved downward position. Doing the exact opposite, extend back, okay, bring that neck up. If you want to, close your eyes a little bit, let those muscles relax, okay? It's a good stretch to do throughout the day. Again, every 20 minutes, this is a great stretch. Move that neck around, really get those neck muscles moving, okay? It'll take some of the strain off of those upper traps that really tend to get really tense, okay?
Feels good.
The next one is a prayer stretch. So putting your palms together, okay, fingers nice and flat. You're gonna bring your elbows up, okay, and you're just gonna hold this position. If you want, sometimes I even have people just kind of extend their fingers back and forth a little bit. Get a little extra stretch into those fingers, okay? You've been doing lots of typing all day long, lots of flexion, really extending those fingers, okay? And that's something you can do throughout the day too. If you're somebody that likes to cook, you're probably doing lots of gripping, chopping, holding, okay? Get that extension in. Prayer stretch, extend those fingers, okay? Really helps in the long run. I am constantly stretching my hands throughout the day. Some of my fellow colleagues make fun of me, but that is what I need to do to be able to get through my day. And then this third one here, it's called a doorway stretch. So I know we don't have any doorways, so you don't really need one. All you're gonna do is we're getting those chest muscles opened up, okay? Again, we kind of like this forward posture. We sit forward, we're on our phones, we're on our computers. Let's get that chest open. So arms kind of out.
Don't hit your neighbor.
Yep, don't hit your neighbor. Bring your arms back, knees, those shoulder blades in the back, and kind of just let those chest muscles stretch, okay? This is a great one for posture and positioning, because again, we get really rounded. We forget we even have back muscles back here. They are back there, okay? Make them work. Pull them back a little bit, squeeze those shoulder blades, make those back muscles really work.
All right, so the next one is just, I call it the sitting muscle, because essentially it's the one that gets tight when you sit for long periods of time. All you do, just take one foot, put it forwards, and then push your hips forwards or bend your front knees slightly. You should feel a good stretch through the front side of your hip that's behind you. Okay, so if you don't, you might need to, like in the picture, put your front leg on a chair. Okay, you just might need a little bit more stretch, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm trying not to get you guys to all put your foot on the chair and fall, okay? So just on the floor, it's kind of like level 1, on a chair would be level 2, or on a stair, the second step, level 3, okay? So, but again, a good one if you're sitting for a long period of time. Second one, just in place, or I usually sometimes like to be at a wall, but you're just trying to rotate. Again, please don't hit your neighbor if you're gonna do it with me. You're trying to rotate your upper spine. Now, the reason why you use your arms is you kind of use them as a driver to try to propel and move your chest a little further. Okay, if you bring both your arms with, you might notice that your hips move more. Okay, that's why I utilize just having the one arm in place, because then you don't utilize to your hips as much compared to your spine. The last one, you can do it like the counter, like the picture says there, or you can just take both your thumbs, put it right at your lower back, and lean backwards over your thumbs. Now you can, yeah, please don't fall over. There's no write-ups during our presentation. So you should feel just a good pressure in your low back, maybe even a stretch in your stomach, even hip flexors a little bit. You'd see where this one would be really beneficial if you're sitting for long periods of time. This one is my number one if anybody comes in with like sciatic pains or low back pains, okay? So other than that, I think we hit everything. I'm glad you guys joined us for the exercise part. Thank you, we appreciate that. So we did put our cards on individual tables. If you guys do have any individual questions that you don't want to ask in front of a group, you can email us and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, a really nice thing that we do at Choice is we do a free screen, which is 15 free minutes with a therapist that you can ask any question you want. And that's available as well. So, but again, thank you guys very much for having us and we really, really appreciate it. So, thank you. Everybody feel like stretched out now?
Are we saying bye?